Paula's path to artistry began far from D.C. Raised in a family that moved across continents, she lived in Tanzania, Mozambique, and beyond, immersing herself in new languages and cultures from a young age.
We moved to Tanzania when I was 3, so we were there for first 3 to 6 I was there, so I really thought of myself as Tanzanian. But we always, whenever we moved, we would move and we would come back to Takoma, DC. So when I was 6, we came back to Takoma, and then I stayed in DC until I was a junior in high school.
But it was in Argentina, during a college semester abroad, that her eyes opened to the weight of her Blackness.
The violence of that experience kind of made me realize, oh, Paula, like, we are not a post-racial society, you're not a post-racial person, like this is the weight that you carry in this body.
The awakening pushed Paula to Brazil, to Salvador, the blackest city outside of Nigeria.
Coming into adulthood there kind of helped me frame my identity, not just Black, but kind of a global Blackness.
But it was motherhood that truly transformed Paula, both as a woman and an artist. Raising a daughter, she confronted the policing of gender and embraced a womanist perspective, rooted in a Black female experience.
Becoming a mom kind of like made me realize how much gender impacts my experience and how much gender is policed, especially raising a female child, you know. So I think my racialized self and my gendered self, those two experiences really radicalized me, and I think it's starting to come out more in the work that I'm making now.
Motherhood didn't just shape Paula's worldview, it sparked her artistry. As a self-taught artist, she began creating collages in 2021, turning a corner of her bedroom into a studio. Her medium, collage.
Collage, I'm attracted to it because it's a lot of disparate parts coming together to create one form or tell one story. And I think that because I've grown up in lots of different places and had all these different experiences, I've always felt very fragmented. So I think collage has been a great way to process that experience and really process my own identity formation. And I think that's true not just for me personally, but the human experience is very layered, very dense. And I think we tend to simplify our identities, be it through nationality, language, class, race, gender, but the reality is we are an amalgamation of all of those things.
Paula's first series, See Me, confronts the erasure of Black communities in a gentrified DC, using color to explore visibility and invisibility. Her later work, Cotton Flower, reclaims a powerful symbol of slavery, transforming it into one of agency and power.
I used color to really talk about hypervisibility and invisibility. So talking about growing up in Takoma and coming back to this neighborhood that I grew up in and having it totally transformed, and that experience of erasure, right? I think Cotton Flower also relates to that, historical erasure. Cotton Flower really reflects something that I read in a poem that talked about how some enslaved women chose to ingest cotton roots to control their reproductive system, to regain agency over their bodies, and in some cases abort pregnancies.
Her figures, with their penetrating gazes, challenges viewers, flipping the power dynamic in white-dominated art spaces. She creates for her community as a mirror and a call to resist.
I think that when you have a figure that has a very penetrating gaze that's kind of judging you, challenging you, it's kind of like flipping that power on its end. It's not the viewer looking at the work, it's the work looking at you. And I think that's why a lot of my figures have a really direct gaze. My kid can't really be in the studio because she's like, oh, they're watching me. But I think when you add the racialized power dynamic to it, or there's this Black figure that's giving you this penetrating gaze, it can be uncomfortable for white viewers, but I don't think that any change can really happen without discomfort.
Paula sees this moment in time as a Sankofa moment, a time for Black communities to return to their roots, reclaiming power from history. Her art as a tool to fortify and inspire.
My parents are the desegregation generation, right? And I think that they assumed that power was a seat at the table, access to equal opportunities. My brothers and I are a testament to the fact that even though we were included in these spaces, there's still so much work to be done and that these spaces are harmful. and that even though we may have a certain level of socioeconomic privilege, at the end of the day, these spaces don't serve us. So I think it's like a cyclical, it's time for us to go back to our roots, it's time for us to go back to our history and reclaim power from there, not from these white supremacist spaces. And I think that time is very cyclical, so I don't think this is the first moment in time that this has happened. I think Reconstruction may have been a similar time, or post-Reconstruction, so I think that all of this violence that's coming out in society, be it physical violence, emotional violence, intellectual violence that's happening to Black institutions, Black life, I think that now is the time to maybe retract rather than go into these spaces and fortify from within.
For Paula, art is a spark, planting seeds for change that viewers must nurture.
So that speaks to the power of art. It's powerful. It's powerful because it pushes critical thinking. It encourages you to question your reality, question what you're being taught, question your history, your present. And I think that it's a powerful tool, but I don't think that it is, if I'm gonna build a house, I have a hammer. It helps me build the house, but it's not the house. And I think that art can be a tool to build, but it is not the building itself. I think it's what you do with the tool.